I will say something that might be uncomfortable for you to hear, but I don't think you're desperate enough. I don't think you need it enough or want it enough. And you're tired. And the only thing you had to do was to sit down and write a blog post. And if you did not do that, your children would not eat tomorrow. Do you think there is any chance in the world that you would just look at Netflix?
Have you ever wondered why you see some success and then it seems like you end up failing anyway, or you hit a plateau but never really reach the success that you actually want? I certainly have, and I've been working online for over a decade, so I thought I pretty much knew what I needed to know, but it became painfully obvious in my interview with Emilia Gardner that I most certainly didn't. And there is actually some learnings hidden in here that I think you could benefit from. And what she ended up saying actually pretty much threw me off course. But in order to understand why that is and for you to get some learnings out of this, we have to set the stage first.
So you mentioned that you were a single dad, 2 children, 2 boys, and then you talked about being a vet, and then you talked about your blogging business. I wondered, is that indicative of the importance of these items in your life? Are your kids the most important thing to you, do you think?
Yeah, of course, to me, my kids are the most important, 2 boys there. That plays into all the rest of it, of course, because when I'm doing blogging, I cannot fail because I have to pay for this house and pay for food and soccer training and everything else, and it's all dependent on me. So I have to make it work, right? So it ties into every small decision I have to make. And also being a vet and choosing not to be that full time is also important to me because I want to be home. And if I'm not home, the 2 boys are here alone.
So I think that's the first point, knowing why you're actually doing this. Not just because it's fancy or you want to make a lot of money, but what's really inside of you. Why do you want to do this? And then she asked me what I would do if I was setting up a new blog and didn't want to head into all my failures, but set it up for success.
Maybe go for a less competitive niche so you can make more failures and still see some success.
If you were a brand new blogger, then what you would need to do is plan to work on the site maybe for longer before you expect to see some return. So plan to make those mistakes and just be okay with not making the big bucks at the end of 12 months. Like say, okay, I really want to do a pet site. I'm going to lock in and work on this pretty solid for 24 to 36 months before I decide that this was a fail or a win.
If that would have been me, I would have given up before I've seen any real success. And I think you would also need to spend more time on each article to beat the competition. But that goes for health or basically any YMYL stuff, and maybe also your legal sites, right?
So what she's actually talking about here is actually persistence and not expecting this to be an overnight success where you can suddenly earn a lot of money. I know all the ads and all the hype gurus on YouTube are trying to sell you that. And of course, that plays into their agenda. But here in the real world where Emilia and I live, it's not that easy. And persistence for maybe 2 years is actually necessary to see any kind of success. I do think I've held myself back more than I needed to, and probably you have as well. And in the next part, she dives into why that is.
Where and when did you make your first dollar online?
2010, I guess, with AdSense. So I started a Danish website for dog and cat owners back in 2009, and I sort of more like a hobby at that time. So, and I put AdSense on there in 2010. I think I got around $100 every quarter. A long time I was just giving up on making a decent income online. And it's only in the recent years I've been working hard to actually make a proper income from my blogging.
What, in your opinion, held you back?
Ooh, that was a good question.
Why didn't you do it 10 years ago?
I felt bad taking people's money. If I have to be completely honest, even though it was ads, how do I phrase that? Selling stuff to people, showing them ads was somehow felt wrong for some reason. So I had
like you were taking advantage of them somehow.
Yes, and I was actually blogging because I wanted to help people. I wanted to make a difference. Just put the esoic ads on the site, and it's running fine.
So what you're saying is the difference between then and now is you don't care anymore, and you're like, I'll take your money, like I'm ready, like you've overcome somehow.
I'm completely given up of caring about people completely. No, it's a mindset thing, because I was as a vet, I've always worked as an employee, and even though how much I think people should pay, that somehow felt more natural. And then building something of my own, and being feeling that was actually something worth charging for, was more a mental hurdle.
Totally feel you. And when I entered the practice of law, that was something that I had to confront and overcome, because it was very hard to sit in front of a client and say, and yeah, you need to give me $5,000, and believe that they needed to give you that, and believe that their time was worth something. And it's not something that I've overcome, to be honest.
So what we're talking about here is actually the mindset around money. And you might not have that, and maybe you think I'm stupid for having those thoughts, but it sometimes feels wrong to sell or wrong to take people's money. And it's not something that comes easy to me, and it might have something to do with the way I'm brought up, or that I don't feel like I have enough money, so taking other people's money somehow feels wrong. But changing the mindset around this to actually knowing that I can help more people if I charge them money and I get a little bit of money in. Of course, I'm not going to sell them something they don't need, but as long as I'm helping them, it feels somewhat better to take their money. And that has taken quite a long time, way longer than it needed to, before I started earning some decent income. And that plays into the next question she's going to ask me.
Been at this for over a decade. If you could go back, what's one thing you wish you could do differently?
But it is really a good question, because if I knew back then what I know now, of course I would do a lot of things different. But what I learned through the years is actually from a lot of the failures I've done. So I would avoid some of the failures, right? Probably go for monetization way earlier than I did. I would have tried to overcome that mental hurdle of not monetizing my stuff early enough. So, and I was blogging for many years without thinking it was a real business. Even though I was making money, a little bit of money from it, I didn't see it as a real business.
So actually taking small steps in the direction I know I have to go, even though it feels uncomfortable to me, or I'm not sure what direction to take, just taking small steps in that direction is what has helped me. And that also leads into one of the most important takeaways from this interview.
One of the things I've realized recently is that what gives me some of my success is the 80% I'm not doing. And you, of course, when you're new, you have to try a bunch of stuff to know what works for you and your audience, and you have to be willing to test and fail and everything. And now I've failed so many times, and there's a lot of things I don't do anymore.
Some of the success that you will see will also come from what you're not doing and what you're not wasting your time on. To me, it's been fairly simple to find out what that is, but trying to do that is not as simple, and we will come back to that in a second.
Right. What's a relevant thing? You said, I just focus on the relevant stuff. Okay, well, what is in the 20% then? What do you focus on? What counts as relevant?
Sit down and type on the stupid keyboard.
Yes.
I'm so sorry. Oh my! I've spent so many hours listening to podcasts and reading and audiobooks and doing keyword research. That has been a time suck, and it's fun. It's really fun, and
I
that is
love
what
keyword research. I will just say it, like it's like a treasure hunt. If I could do nothing but that and like finding the best keywords, I would be the richest person there ever was.
And so I'm looking down because my computer is here, and I have like 20 spreadsheets in there with 700 ideas and really good ideas in there. And it took me like a complete summer vacation to find all of those. But when on earth is I'm going to write 20 times 700 articles, and nothing of that is earning me money. So just go find 10 good keywords and write the damn articles.
Yeah, it's true though. You said what you said. It says none of that stuff is earning me money, right? So it might feel like you're working on your business by listening to podcasts and all these things, but those things at some point have to translate into something that earns money.
I've been following your live streams and watching all of your videos, and from my perspective, it seems like you are doing that. You seem like you come across like a person that is able to sit down, ass to chair, and just type away and get everything done.
It's working. It's the smoke screen is working. No, I do. That's one thing I think I do better. I don't think I do SEO that well. I don't think I do social media that well. I don't do YouTube that well. But one thing I can do is hit that publish button. Like find a way to hit the publish button. That is one thing that I managed to do. For me, routine is something that is a muscle that has to be trained, and it has to become like muscle memory, right? So my ability to sit down and work at the computer is something that I have to flex that all the time, because if I get out of the habit of writing content, then it is really hard for me to sit down and do it. So what I usually tell people who are having a really hard time writing content, like getting to the computer to write content, and I've seen this many times, if somebody is just willing to sit down and flex the muscle for 7 days, then on the 8th day, they would have a much easier time to sit down and do the work than they did on day 0 or day 1, because that muscle has been flexed.
So that's actually a pretty good advice. Building a routine, maybe just writing a couple of words each day, or maybe having one day a week where you dive in and you just do that one thing, that will build that muscle. And now we are approaching the most important takeaway from this interview, because even though I'm pretty good at building that muscle and building that routine, I still find it difficult from time to time to actually sit here and type things, because I feel good. The boys are good. The household income is good. We have a car. We have something to eat. They go to school. Everything is fine. But striving to reach a new level of success has proven difficult. And Emilia has a point on that actually pretty much threw me off. But let's hear what she has to say.
Right now, I'm jazzed up and I'm well caffeinated. I can write a list of 10 articles I want to write. And then in an hour, when the dishwasher is emptied out and I sit there and the kids are tucked into bed, then the energy is just poof, gone, and I can do. And even though I know exactly what to write, it's not happening. So intention is one thing. Actually, having the energy at the right time seems to be a struggle to me anyway.
Well, I will say something that might be uncomfortable for you to hear, and maybe other people in the chat will beat me up for this, but I don't think you're desperate enough. I don't think you need it enough or want it enough. Let me tell you this. If you spent 12 hours with your kids and it was 10 p.m., right? And you're tired, and the only thing you had to do was to sit down and write a blog post. And if you did not do that, your children would not eat tomorrow. Do you think there is any chance in the world that you would just look at Netflix?
No.
You would be there
Of
like,
course. Yes, of course.
And I really feel like if we are comfortable, maybe not comfortable enough, right? Like I would like to be more comfortable. I would like to make $50,000 a month, right? I'm motivated to do that. But if I sat down and went back to that bed this afternoon and read a book, my children would still eat dinner. I would still pay the mortgage. Right? And that's probably one of the reasons why I don't make $50,000 a month right now is I don't really need it. I just want it. I don't need it. I'm not uncomfortable enough. And so
I really like being a vet. And that is also giving me a pillow sort of to, because I could always ask my boss if he wanted to give me more hours, and he probably could. So if the platform was starting to burn out, there is a safety net for me. Mm-hmm. So of course that takes some of the desperation away. But I really like to take Fridays off and have a long weekend. I'm guessing maybe that's not a strong enough motivator. When it is a strong motivator, and I'm actually publishing articles, mm-hmm. but maybe not after 9 o'clock at night.
So I'm curious, are you desperate enough? Are you finding it difficult to reach a new level of success if not everything is burning under your feet?
We'll see what happens. All right. Take care, everybody.
Take care.
I really recommend that you subscribe to Emilia. She has some awesome interviews and some awesome live streams, and you can go here to watch one of those.